Hello, this is Andreas from Nordic Tarot. This time around I brought you a love reading for the start of October. And as always, these readings are general. So not everyone's gonna have a message, it's not gonna resonate with everyone, and I'm sorry if it doesn't. But as always, you can get more information about how to contact me and on the decks I use in the description below. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy your readings. Hello Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's figure out what's going on here, right? Your underlying energy is the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords it's a card of travel or a journey, would be more accurate. It can be travel, it can be more short distance travel, but it's often an emotional journey. And, the card is this thing where you move from choppy waters into calmer waters. And there is a low level of grief associated with the Six of Swords, and that's kind of what the implication is, that we're moving away from something that might have hurt us. And the thing is, the card often depicts these six swords being like piercing the boat. And as we know, swords are our thoughts. And the thing with these swords being in the boat is that they might be obscuring our vision, but if we remove them, then the boat will sink. So it's a little bit, I wouldn't say necessarily going on faith, but it's that we're moving to a different place, maybe in spite of these swords. I mean, we need them. They obstruct our view, but we still need them, because without them, we'll sink. And you have two other cards. You have the Death card and the Wheel card in your past and your present, respectively, that speak of change. And I want to link the Six of Swords with the Death card. And remember, the Six of Swords is your underlying energy, so this is kind of what's permeating throughout your entire reading. It's like what's underneath all the other energy. And, I'm not going to get too ahead of myself, but I feel like the Six of Swords and the Death card are kind of linked. Like something happened in the past, there was a change, and then that is why you are on this Six of Swords journey, maybe. But in the problem circumstance, or at the heart of your reading, you have the Empress card. And the Empress is, she can be the mother, or very motherly. She does not necessarily have to be a mother, but she can be someone who's pregnant, or someone who wants children. She's extremely nurturing. She takes care of people. She's extremely powerful in her own right. Like, she's the female version of the Emperor, or rather the complement to the Emperor. They complement each other. Because the Emperor is all about action and doing things and doing it his way and all these things, right? But the Empress is probably the one with a plan. Because she can manifest, like, if she wants something, she'll just figure out a way to get it. And not in, like, a horrible, conceited, evil way or anything. She'll just make it happen. She doesn't really need to be horrible in any way. But, she's very feminine and extremely powerful in her own right, and like I said, she's nurturing and can sometimes be a mother. But so why is the Nine of Swords crossing the Empress? Because the Empress, I think, can be, a very positive energy for people with how, she's very powerful, and she can get the things she wants, for example, like I mentioned. But the Nine of Swords is someone who is worried, someone who's feeling down or depressed, someone who can't sleep, maybe someone who's got insomnia because they are worrying so much. So what is happening here? Are you in this kind of Nine of Swords energy because you are the Empress and that's not something you're comfortable with? Or are you trying to reach this Empress energy but you're being blocked by the Nine of Swords? And I'm gonna see if I can word this in a way that makes it not sound so awful, because I think it can be very easy to make this sound as if your problems aren't actually problems. But when the Nine of Swords shows up, I would say especially when it's like in your hopes and fears, if the Nine of Swords shows up in your hopes and fears, then it's kind of it's just a big ball of worry. Like, the card doesn't even show you what you're worried about. And I don't want to make it sound as if your problems aren't problems, or if they or that they aren't important, because of course you're worried, and that's valid, and that's of course completely fine for you to feel like that. But sometimes when we are in kind of this, Nine of Swords energy, then things can kind of go out of control. And I would say Virgos probably would hate that, because you are often in control. You see all the details, and you see how everything fits together, and you find out all these things and make them work. So feeling this Nine of Swords energy must be super heavy for you. And like I said, it's not that your worries aren't valid, but it's that, if you have anxiety or worry or feeling depressed, then things can become a lot larger than they might be in reality. And again, I just really want to reiterate this. I'm not saying that your problems are not problems. I'm not saying that they aren't valid, and that how you feel about them, that is not valid. That's not what I'm saying. But, I understand this kind of thinking as well, that sometimes things become more daunting just in of themselves. It's kind of a feedback loop when you get this kind of Nine of Swords energy. And, I just want to extend my sympathy and empathy for you, because it's not a fun energy to have to deal with. And then in your past energy, you do have the Death card. And the Death card can seem very harsh and scary and, foreboding. But it is simply a card of change. The Death energy does not have to be literal. It's the death of something old, a situation, a relationship, a way of thinking, and then the birth of something new, a new way of thinking, paving way for a new relationship, for personal growth, for a new job. And is this what happened? Is that what the Six of Swords is? That the death energy event happened, and the death energy is something that happens over a more extended period of time, and I often in my videos compare it to, or contrast it rather, with the Tower card, because like I said, the Death card is more an extended period of time, something that might take some time to happen, whereas the Tower is just an explosion. It just happens immediately and suddenly, and you can't really see it coming. I mean, that's the entire thing with the Tower, right? You don't see it coming. It's unexpected. But the Death card, you can kind of observe it. This might be something that you knew was coming. This might be something that you yourself initiated, that you willingly made this change. And in the present, your energy is the Wheel, or the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune is also a card of change. It speaks of the wheel keeps turning, the seasons keep changing, and things come around. And it's also a card of fate, because something that the universe likes to do sometimes is put us in a similar situation to see how we handle it. Usually it's to teach us some kind of lesson, or allow us the opportunity to break a cycle, break some chains, break the mold, do something differently. And, you might have found yourself in the same kind of or similar situation 3 or 4 or 5 times in your life, and maybe you've handled the situation the same way every time, and it always has the same kind of outcome. But then you can think about this, that this is the wheel in action, this is fate, this is the universe saying, well, alright, let's say I don't really think they got something out of this, so I'm just going to put them in the same situation again, maybe wait a few years, what's time to the universe, So are you now in a situation that might have been brought on by the universe? Do you feel like this is something you've been through before? Because if you are, then that would also explain the wheel card. But it's also the kind of thing where the wheel does keep turning. So if you are in this situation, then things will change. That's the bright side of the wheel as well, right? That it does keep turning. The seasons keep changing, like I keep saying. Like, it does change. It does transition. And the reason I'm saying that it might be that you're in a similar situation you've been in before is, of course, just the wheel in of itself, but it's because in the past you already had this change energy. So why is it coming up with another changing card immediately afterward in the present? Because the past energy is what happened in the past which led to the present, and then the present energy is what's in the present that might lead to this future energy. So why did it have a change energy in the past and then immediately a change energy again in the present? So there was a change that led to a change? Is that what it is? But like I said, I feel like this is... I really feel like asking you if you've been in a similar situation before. Is this something you're supposed to take away from this? Is there a lesson here to learn? And another thing that's kind of alluding to that is the fact that in your feelings you have the Three of Wands, which is someone expecting something in return. They've sent out their ships and they kind of know what to expect when the ships come back. So is that a thing where you feel like that because you have been in this situation before and you know what to expect? And does it upset you with the Nine of Swords? Does it cause you a lot of stress and worry and then insomnia maybe? And I feel like the future energy might be a little clue to what this is about, because the Four of Pentacles, the card asks you, what is of value to you? So is that what this is about? Is it about what do you value? And this is a love reading, so what is it you value in a relationship, for example? But the Four of Swords is also called the Miser's card sometimes, and this is because in the original Rider-Waite deck that I used to learn the tarot, and I might have mentioned it in other videos, it depicts a man who has got one pentacle on his head, one braced against his chest with his two arms, and then he's got his feet on the last two. And it's this kind of defensive energy of someone who is so desperate not to lose what they have, because these pentacles, they represent what he values the most. And of course it can be more of a concept, or it can be more intangible. It does not necessarily have to be money. It can be your time, or your love, or your attention, or someone else's attention. Like, it can be how much time you get to spend alone, or how much time you get to spend with your partner, you know, something like that. But then the warning with the Four of Pentacles is that, of course, it's okay to be this person that's holding on to what's important because they know what is of value to them. But if they do hold on to it so fiercely, then they can never get more because they can never invest. Because investing does bring about a slight risk of losing what you invest. Because it is an investment. It's not a guarantee. But if you do not risk some, and if you do not invest, then you will never have more than you have either. And, you know, that's kind of the stuff that the Four of Pentacles asks you. Or is it that the lesson that's happening currently with the wheel, if it is a lesson or a cycle to break, is that you do end up in the future and you learn what's important to you. That you realize this is really important to me. And your crowning energy is the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Wands, this is telling me that you just feel really overburdened right now. And I can get it with the Nine of Wands crossing the Empress. This is someone who has got a lot of stuff on their plate. But the thing to remember with the Ten of Wands is that this person in the card, he's still going. He's strapped these wands to his back and he's climbing this hill or this mountain and he's going to do it. This is not someone who's giving up, but it does look very difficult what he's doing. And the Ten of Wands is, you know, it can suggest that maybe there are some things you can delegate. Maybe you can hand some stuff over to someone else. Maybe there's a better way of carrying the wands. Maybe there's a different way of doing it. Because the Ten of Wands, this is a card of someone who might feel that they've taken on too many commitments or assignments or chores or responsibilities, and they're having a really hard time. But like I said, this person isn't giving up. This person is still doing it. And also, it's the Ten of Wands. So it's the last card in the Wands cycle. So this is someone who's almost there. Because it is in the crowning or the advice position, it does not necessarily mean that you do have tons of responsibility or whatever, but it does just say, you know, it just might just be the concept of being overburdened. You don't have to be overburdened with responsibility. Maybe, you know, maybe you just have a ton of thoughts in your head and that's an overburden. And like having the Nine of Swords energy would be a burden. Well, at least to me, it looks really burdensome. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. But is there is there someone to ask for help maybe? That might not be your favorite thing to do, and I'm not saying you have to do that, but like I said, is there another way of carrying the wands? Is there an easier way of doing it? And I do want to acknowledge this, that if you are feeling so overburdened, that must be really tough, because you have a lot of really fantastic energies. Like, you do have the Empress. You do have the Nine of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, the Lovers. Now, personally, I like the Death card and the Wheel card. I know not a lot of people do. Or maybe, at least not the Death card, maybe. I even like the Three of Wands because it's kind of a manifestation card. And, I mean, with that, moving on to the Three of Wands once again, that this is someone, like I said, who sent out their ships. And they are waiting for those ships to come back so they can take the next step, so they can make a decision. So they can move on from the Three of Wands energy to the Four of Wands energy. This can sometimes be like a long distance thing, maybe overseas. And this can sometimes be a long distance thing, maybe something overseas, like a relationship. Because this guy is looking out over the ocean or this water, and that's kind of what it can indicate sometimes. And you have the Six of Swords in your underlying, and which can be traveling. So, are you feeling for someone who's overseas right now? Are you in a long distance relationship and you want to travel? Is this putting a lot of worry on you? In your outside influences, you have the Lovers, which is a soulmate. In your outside influences, you have the Lovers, which is a soulmate card. It's just a card of love. It's just love for your partner or for yourself or for your job or your house. It's just love. It's also a head or heart decision. And it's, it can be, well, do I pick what I love or do I pick what's logically the best choice? But then that's also a kind of thing like, why wouldn't you go with the thing you love? And, you have extra questions with that. But it just feels like, because the outside influence can be something that's affecting you, but you have maybe not noticed it yet, or you have not acknowledged it yet. And like I said, it is a soulmate card, which is, fantastic, if that's what you're looking for. And in your hopes and fears, you have the Ace of Pentacles, which is a stable, which is the potential of a stable new beginning. Of like starting something that's very grounded and stable, that kind of earth energy. And, earth energy, of course, being your energy, so I'm sure you would be very happy in that kind of, it moves a little slower and it's stable, and sometimes it can take its time. But it's in your hopes and fears. Is this what you're worried about with the Nine of Swords? Is the Empress trying to start something new, but the Nine of Swords is there worrying? So are you simultaneously hoping that I want this, or I hope I get this, but then at the same time worrying that, what if that doesn't work out? What if I don't get that? I mean, your outcome card is the Nine of Cups, and I think Aquarius and Pisces both got this in the same position as well. So plenty of people are manifesting right now. That's what it feels like, or will be manifesting at least. But the Nine of Cups is a card of manifestation. It's a card of, it's a card of wishing. Because you do have your 9 cups. You're almost at the 10 of cups. Almost at emotional fulfillment, happiness. Coming together as a family and celebrating. And it's kind of that thing, like, what are you wishing for? What do you want to manifest? And you do have the Three of Wands in your feelings as well, which, like I said, is a manifestation card too. So I feel like lots of manifestation energy and power. You have this choice or this love or this soulmate in the outside influence. Like, I understand if you do have, like, this Nine of Swords can be such a difficult energy to deal with. Especially if you feel like this is something that's standing in your way. Do you want to be the Empress, but you're worried? That's not fun. And I kind of feel like with the Six of Swords being there underlying that this is some kind of journey. That you're going to move away from this, but how do you do that? And I don't know, like I said, you have some heavy energies, but you have some, like, fantastic potential. Like I said with the Empress, 3 of Wands, the Lovers, Ace of Pentacles, 9 of Cups. You know, those are some really excellent energies. And I hope you can make great use of them. So that was your reading for this time around. And I really hope that you found a message, like I said at the beginning of this video. And I understand that it won't resonate with everyone, which is unfortunate. I wish it did. But, you know, it is what it is in the end. But I really hope you enjoyed the video, and like I said, I hope there was a message for you. And if you do want more information, if you want to book a reading, you know, my email is in the description below. If you did not get a message from the general reading, then maybe a personal reading will be more effective. So if you're curious, like I said, in the description below, you'll find how to contact me and some pricings. So, did you prefer the old readings I did? Did you prefer these love readings? I thought I'd more hone in on one area instead of, it just seemed a bit scattered to me, the old way I did things. You know, I'm playing around, I'm figuring out what I like to do and what works for me as well. So, you know, did you prefer the old ones? Do you like these ones? Do you like that it's love specific? Those are some questions I'm putting forth to my lovely audience. And once again, thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel.